All right.
I am processing this.
No, I know. I know. I watched that video a bunch of times as I was like, clipping it together and stuff like that, and I'm still like, and again, she was acquitted. You know, these things were never able. They were never able to prove this stuff in court. So this is all alleged. However, if that's true, um, yeah, that is evil, and whoever does that to anyone is evil. But you do that to a harmless child, you're a monster.
Absolutely. Like the most vulnerable. And again, it brings me back to like the YouTube video. I'm sorry, the TikTok video of Casey Anthony advocating for women and the LGBTQ community
Yeah, she's such a
when
soft-hearted,
she,
supportive.
when
Yeah.
she allegedly, the majority agrees with, that she unalived the most innocent class. The most, I mean, children are defenseless. And now you want to say you want to advocate for grown women? You couldn't even get justice for your own child. You didn't even serve out a sentence.
I know. And the crazy thing is that I would think that even up until this day, you wouldn't stop trying to find out who killed your daughter. You
Right.
wouldn't stop trying to find this person that you allege they weren't looking hard enough to find, Zenaida Fernandez Gonzalez. Every day you would be thinking about what happened to your daughter.
She was very complacent.
Right.
And she was
Like,
very,
it is what it is.
yeah, like it is what it is, very nonchalant. Oh, yeah, I left her with a nanny. Oh, yeah, I never went inside the nanny's apartment. Oh, yeah, I left the nanny at the stairs, which we still have to get into.
Yeah.
But
yeah, girl. It's really hard. It's really hard to get through this, you guys, and I I'm I feel like it's, well, both of us do, and this is why we're doing this show, and this episode specifically, because she's reemerged, right, on social media. A lot of people are pissed, especially millennials that grew up, people are older, that grew up and saw this case and the trials and everything in real time. There's two new generations that are being introduced to her that don't really understand the scope of this case and what went down and who Casey Anthony was and all of this kind of stuff and what she did. And why people, like you said earlier when we first started, why this still haunts the people that are in the know. So I think it's important that everybody.
right. And not only that, but I believe on TikTok, like once you have a certain amount of followers, you can monetize off of your
Or
videos.
10,000. Yep.
And there's, I don't know, maybe our generation does it as well, but I know in the younger generations, they'll do like hate follows, right? Just so that they can see her every move, right? Try to run her off the internet. But what you don't realize is that there are 70,000 followers right now. She's going to end up profiting off of this. And we cannot allow a monster to profit off of social media. I mean, now this wouldn't be the first time, but
yeah,
we have a flawed society if we are willing to reward people for being, not just being shit human beings, but for actually murder, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah. So why don't we head over to July 16th? And why don't you take it away? We have some clips and stuff, but
yeah, absolutely. So July 16th, 2008, Casey Anthony is arrested and would stay incarcerated until her trial in 2011.
and I have like it's like a 7-second video. It's just gonna kind of take us out, but it's like 7 seconds just to see her being taken out. And I took the audio out, you guys, because people were screaming. They were camped out outside the house with chairs and everything. The press were there, everything. And as soon as she walks out, everybody starts yelling, cursing. Like, I had to take the audio out. It was extreme.
I almost wish you hadn't.
I know. Maybe I should have kept it in, but
she deserved that backlash.
That perp walk. I know, you're right.
Yeah,
right. But it might have blown out people were all right. But yeah, well, next time I'll leave it in, like, for whatever. But here you go.
Next perp walk.
Yeah, the next perp walk. But yeah, you can clearly see like the amount of flashes in her face and everything, and she's like looking at everybody like, with that pursed lip and just like dead stare that she probably gave Sylvia Hernandez, the correction officer. But we also have another clip of Casey being interrogated in the Anthony home. And we can get to that right here.
The caretaker or the nanny taking care of them,
the truth.
It's not the truth, because I went to the apartment complex. There's no person that ever lived there by that name. The apartment's been vacant since March, that same apartment. Now, the apartment that you pointed out to me, the 2-story apartment, that's an old folks' home. It's right across the street from your ex-boyfriend's house, who you never mentioned.
Yeah, you said this is the bad cop, right? Yep, you can hear it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I wasn't quite sure if you could hear me over that, but you will notice during these interactions with Casey that there is a good cop and a bad cop, and Detective Yuri is the bad cop. He's calling her out. How could you essentially be so stupid? You never went to this woman's apartment. You took us to an abandoned apartment. You gave us all of these fake addresses. Does this make sense to you? Is this gonna get us any closer?
Yeah, like he's being the aggressor.
Your daughter?
Mm-hmm. And you said you wrote the address down because it was across the street. That's a lie, because I've already talked to him, and we've already been by the house, and we've already looked at everything we need to look at over there. Mm-hmm. Everything you told us is a lie.
I've been trying.
You haven't been trying.
Wait a minute. Okay, let's go through this again. Okay. Stop me at the part that I say that's not true, okay? Mm-hmm. I want to go through this, and I want you to stop me at the part that isn't the truth, okay? Mm-hmm. You take your daughter and you drop her off on June the 9th, okay, at a babysitter's house, okay? Now, this is a babysitter that lives at this apartment, okay, that's been vacant.
I dropped her off at that apartment, okay, at those stairs.
Oh, you just walked her, you dropped her off? And
walked her to the stairs. That's where I've dropped her off a bunch of other times. Besides just that day.
Okay, and when you dropped her off, who took her at that point?
Zanny did. She took her at that point.
You left her in Zanny's care on June the 9th. Okay? That makes sense to you? It makes sense to you that I'm trying to help the police find my daughter by giving them a bunch of bad addresses? That makes sense to you?
That's what I said, yes.
No, I'm asking you. That makes sense to you. My attempt,
that part of it, okay, no.
My attempt to help him find my child, okay, what I've done to try to help him find my child is I've given him a whole bunch of addresses to go to that are bad addresses.
Zanny has never worked here. How do you explain that?
She has an ID. She has an ID with her name on it.
Just like you have an ID?
I do have an ID somewhere at my house. Both of my parents have seen it. Both of my parents know that I've worked here.
So what they're talking about is they went to Universal Studios because Casey said that she works there. and that's where she met Zenaida. So that's what they're talking about right now.
I used to have an office.
Now, just like you have an office?
No, I don't have an office now.
Back on June 9th, 2008, you took Casey to a babysitter's house.
Yes.
And who was this babysitter?
Her name is Zenaida Fernandez Gonzalez.
Do you know how to spell the first name?
Zenaida.
And where was Zenaida's? Where did you drop your child off?
The Sawgrass Apartments on Conway, Michigan.
Do you remember the address?
I don't remember the address.
Do you remember an apartment number?
210.
Okay.
It's on the second floor.
If you were to pull into the Sawgrass Apartments, would the building be the one closest to the road, furthest back, halfway?
As soon as you go straight, you go over one speed bump, and it's the first one on the right-hand side.
Okay, is there a pool next to it, or is there anything about the apartment that stands out? There's
a welcome sign. It's, I guess there's a little shed close to the building. Maybe.
I'm sorry to cut it off, but I just want to also point out that the police, when they went there to ask the landlord and find out who lives in that apartment 210, the landlord said, like Yuri Meller said in the beginning, Detective Yuri Meller said, they were told nobody's lived there for 6 months,
right?
And nobody by the name, right? And nobody by the name of Zenaida ever lived there. And they looked at the surveillance footage of the parking lot for the apartment complex, where she says that she goes over the speed bump and all this other stuff. Not Zenaida, who she gave the description of, Casey or Kaylee was ever seen on any footage in that parking lot.
Wow.
So again, it brings me back to this girl. She had it figured out. Everything she figures out. She covers her tracks. She has a story. She has something set up so she can pull it out of her back pocket. It's wild.
Right. And it was also the fact that, didn't they also ask the property manager if they had ever seen a description of Zenaida?
Mm-hmm.
And they said no. Mm-hmm. And then we'll get to the part shortly. I don't believe we already played the part where he said the apartment across the street that she described was or next door that she described was an old folks home.
I think you might have said that in the beginning, but yeah, no, that's also good to point out. So it's she's just constantly, she just continues to lie, and if she gets caught in her lie, she has another one raring to go. She's got 4 or 5 of them to back up the lie that she's telling. It's really quite remarkable when you think about it.
Wild.
Yeah.
About 10 yards away.
Okay. How long had you known Zenaida?
Almost 4 years. It'll be 4 years Christmas this year.
And where did you meet her? Who did you meet her through?
A mutual friend. His name is Jeffrey Michael Hopkins.
Oh, I can't wait.
I met him at Nickelodeon at Universal, and I met her through him.
Because this is also not
his
the
son's
truth.
nanny at the time.
Does Jeffrey still work at Universal?
No, he does not.
How long has it been since he left?
About 9-10 months, give or take.
He moved back to Jacksonville?
He moved up to North Carolina for a short time and moved down to Jacksonville within the last 3 months.
When was the last time you spoke with him?
About a week and a half ago.
Okay. Do you know a telephone number for him?
I can find a number for him. I don't know a number offhand. No, I do not.
You mentioned something before we went on tape about your cell phones.
Yes. I have 2 phones. I just received a new phone through work, through Universal. The phone won't keep charged, so I use my old phone that I actually had gotten, again, through Universal for work.
Okay.
Okay. Stopping it right there just again. It's already been established at the beginning of this whole interrogation. She was found to have not currently been working at Universal Studios. They already found out that she hadn't been working there for 2 years. They said this to her. the end of this, she says, I'm using a phone that I just got through work at Universal Studios. My new phone. Like, okay. I know. I just like, okay.
Did you lose a phone?
Yes.
Was it your personal phone?
It was my personal phone, but I also use it for business.
Okay.
It's
Did
the
you
same
keep
number.
that same number?
Yes, it's
You
still
just
the
lost
same
the
number.
phone.
I just lost the phone.
And in that phone, you're saying was the SIM card, and the SIM card had the contact
Actually,
information?
the SIM card is in my Nokia phone, but I know there's numbers saved to the cell phone itself. So if we get the actual phone, I know I have one other number for Zenaida, and probably a number for Jeff besides work numbers, and
But they're not in your SIM card?
they're not saved on the SIM card. They're saved on the phone. I've been trying to figure out on that new phone how to save numbers from the phone to the SIM card and switch them back and forth. So that way I have everything all in one piece.
Okay, so the phone where you had the number saved was lost.
Yes, I filed an incident report.
But how did you end up keeping the SIM card?
I had taken it out. I know I left the phone on my desk. I'd switched the SIM card back to my old phone because this was the phone that actually would keep charge.
So she has the SIM card. She's switching it back and forth between her new work phone from Universal that she doesn't work at. That was very nice of Universal to give her a phone, even though she doesn't work there. And her personal phone that's like all messed up, and she's like switching back and forth between the two, and she's trying to save contacts that are on the phone or whatever. And that's the reason why, even though she's really good friends with this guy Zachary, and they hang out all the time, they know each other, you know, we're going to get into that of what she says, but she doesn't have his phone number. She doesn't know his phone number. How do you get in contact with people? Like, just like a megaphone? Like, what does she do?
A parrot.
You're right.
Or a pigeon carrier.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, like send a raven, right, with a little letter. So yeah. So why don't you tell us about this guy Jeffrey or Jeffrey?
Yeah. So with Jeffrey, it kind of looks like. So we find out, you know, again, that July 16th, 2008, Casey Anthony is arrested and would stay incarcerated until her trial. So we just saw the clip of that. She basically talks about Jeffrey Hopkins. And Jeffrey Hopkins, like, never worked at Orlando with her, like, doesn't know Nanny Zanny. They went to school together in middle school. So up until like 8th, 9th grade, right? And nothing after that. So Jeff Hopkins, according to Casey Anthony, was once her boyfriend, and he has a son named Zachary, who's the same age as Kaylee's. The kids often played together. This is all, you know, just what Casey's saying. But again, what we know now is Jeff literally took the stand, and you'll see during the trial that he's like, we didn't talk after like 13. Okay, so this is still a lie. But you know, Casey is saying she really wanted to rekindle her romance with him. Hopkins supposedly was wealthy, worked at Nickelodeon, had moved to North Carolina, and then back to Florida. Cindy Anthony, Casey's mother, testified in court that she had found a picture of a man and a boy on her daughter's cell phone, identified as Hopkins, and filed under boyfriend. And it just makes me feel like she's the type of person that would have like boyfriend 1, boyfriend 2, boyfriend 3.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
she's like going down the list. So delusional. And so Casey, now 25, also told her mother about Hopkins' mom. So just letting you know, this is also a lie. Like, Casey Anthony knows nothing about Jeffrey Hopkins' mom. Like, I don't even know if the name she gave her was her real name.
Right.
But Casey tells Cindy, a woman supposedly named Jules Hopkins, had cancer. So Cindy Anthony even baked a cake for a fictional character with cancer during Christmas. And there was supposed to be like a meeting that the four of them were supposed to do. Like, I guess, like, Casey probably made it seem like,
oh, you're gonna meet the family.
you're gonna meet my
this is my man
my boyfriend and his mother. But the meeting was canceled at the last minute. Wonder why. So when Casey Anthony was being pressured by her mother to produce Kaylee, like, tell her something, right? Casey Anthony claimed they were staying in Jacksonville, Florida for Jules Hopkins' surprise wedding. So Jules, wealthy woman, has cancer, just trying to find love, maybe for the last time. No big deal, right? Except none of this existed. And the real Jeff Hopkins, like I mentioned, said that they cut off communication when they were 13. Like, he met her at a bar, like, later in life once, and that was about it.
Yep. So again, we're just gonna bring it back again. This girl saved this guy in her phone as her boyfriend. Like, stalker much, but also to have in there to kind of like maybe it's like somebody else's number, so that way, like, when the person calls, it comes up on her screen as boyfriend. Like, I don't know, like, girl, I've never, I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of really crazy people out there that are, but I think that the fascination with this whole trial and with Casey Anthony herself is how calculated, how delusional she is, how she's able to just make up all these fake people and be so strong with it, and like really go hard into the paint. Like she tells Cindy Anthony that this her boyfriend's mother is dying of cancer or has cancer, and that they're all going to meet. They're going to have like a big party. Cindy bakes a cake, and at the absolute last minute, Casey has to get out of it, of course, at some point, because this whole thing is not real. Even Jeffrey doesn't talk to her. So it's like, it's like, oh, maybe she told her something like, I'm sorry, the mom is not feeling well, so we had to cancel. That probably
right,
be like the reasonable.
Probably, right, like probably using like cancer as an excuse.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, it's a strong excuse.
Right. And I had kind of like a light bulb moment go off, and
Yeah.
I'm wondering if her burner cell was how she texted all of these fictional characters. Because I believe this was a time before texting apps, where, like, now with texting apps, you can have like the texting app and your phone number, of course, on the same phone, and theoretically you could have a conversation with yourself between the texting app and your number, right? But because this was 2008, it sounds like, and who knows, like, maybe her mom just like wasn't interested in like seeing text before then, and between the two of them, and like, or maybe Casey didn't feel like she had to produce text. But that's just kind of what came to my mind when I thought of other uses that the burner phone could have been potentially used for.
Yeah, it's kind of like her crime phone, like whatever crime she was trying to commit, whether it be stealing checks from her friends, stealing gas canisters from her parents' house, pretending to have boyfriends, and stuff like that. Like, that was like her whole other personality of like this crazy criminal was that phone. I know that now that I'm like remembering, because it's not something we added into this, because there again there's just so much, and it was like we kind of condensed it to kind of pull out like the key points. But I remember that there was text messages shared. So her mother and like Cindy and Casey would text each other. So but still, it's not like as prominent as it is now, where everybody's just like, look at this text I got, and like all this other kind of stuff. So but yeah, like even if she did, like who knows, she could have used, she has two phones, right? So she could have used the one phone, send a text message to the other phone, and send text messages back from one phone to the other, as like, this is, I'm this person and I'm that person.